The only thing that's changed is just more creative and more ghastly ways to kill people.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that over in the Ukraine and give you an update on that, as well as the subway shooting. They caught the guy. It looks like
it. At least they have identified somebody.
Well, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country. I still adhere to that. But if you're, they got the U-Haul.
Yep.
With a bunch of explosives in it, a lot of weapons in there, his fingerprints everywhere. And
overwhelmingly looks like he's the guy.
And a video that says he likes to shoot people and watch them die.
Ugh.
So they may have the guy.
Yep. Remember the story of the duck, walks like, talks like.
But still, we have to wait and see here. I'm one of those folks, they jump to conclusions on things, and I'm one of those, well, we have to wait till we know. Sure, so I have to do that. But, as you said, Larry, the circumstantial evidence seems to be overwhelming. Before we go to all of these stuff, there's something that's really cheerful. I just saw it before we came on the air here, and you folks may have already known about this. It happened last night in the sports world. Larry, I don't know if you knew this. Maybe you did. But I'm just read the article. It's just a couple of paragraphs here. And it says, it happened in a matter of seconds, but it was more than a century and a half in the making. Alyssa Naken trotted from the Giants' dugout to the first base. Not Alyssa Naken. I didn't say naked. It's Naken. Nakken. Yes. Gosh, I ought to clear that up or I'll get canceled again by YouTube. Alyssa Naken. God, can anybody mess up a story any better than me? You can't trust me with anything here. All right, Alyssa, because it's a beautiful story. And I'm screwing it up. But after you get canceled, you got to. Okay, all right. Alyssa Naken. I'm going to call it Naken. Alyssa Naken trotted from the Giants' dugout, baseball Giants, to the first base coaching box and made history. For the first time in a Major League Baseball regular season game, a woman coached on the field, and Naken was the one who busted down a barrier that should have been wiped out years before now. What a wonderful thing.
It's a great story.
It's driving the gender-neutral people crazy. She identify as a woman. But, I mean, seriously.
Her, they.
Yeah, but seriously, isn't that?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Dadgum. I mean, as a father of two daughters,
the coach she replaced gave her high fives for it.
Yeah. It has a picture here, and all she's... Oh, no. I'm like, no, it's nothing really bad. I was going to say something, it just wasn't going to be funny. It wasn't anything.
No, that was a real neat story.
Isn't that a good thing to start in from? And because
you got two daughters, I got one.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
Because, Larry, there's all of this stuff about the swimmer in Pennsylvania, the transgender, and women being able to not compete against men because of the muscularity.
Right.
But there are some sports out there. Think about it. I think there's a possibility that a woman could come into that heretofore predominantly male sport and not only compete, but excel.
Sure.
Now, here's what I'm saying. Baseball, think about it. As a pitcher, Tommy John proved this. You don't have to throw the ball 100 miles an hour.
Nope.
If you got stuff on it.
Yep.
You can make that ball move. Make that ball move. And I've seen some girls throw a baseball.
Yeah.
And I can see where a pitcher could come up, a female pitcher could actually, I see a day where they could actually come up in the major league level and get people out and compete in that league. What do you think?
Oh, I believe that. You look at softball and the way the pitchers or the women's pitchers throw that thing. They had one of the really elite women pitchers, and no guys could hit them. I mean, they make that ball. They throw that slider. They throw the curve. The riser. I mean, that thing is rolling off the table too when it gets there.
I'll tell you what they better start doing though.
What's that?
Women's softball. And our millennial just slipped in. Welcome, Guillermo Moreno, looking good, looking slick, baby.
At first, I'm late. Huh? First time ever, I'm late.
No, you're not. You're on Autry
we were
time.
just warming up for you.
All right.
Exactly. You're here when you're here, brother. You think you got a to-do list at home, folks?
Yeah.
He whipped his to-do list out and went down to Shields Avenue, took a left turn, and ended up at
Well, you look good.
What's that?
You look really good.
Don't try to flatter me because you're late.
Well,
you think I'm mad at you and you're trying to suck up to me now.
you sound really good too today.
Do I sound good?
Yeah.
Look good?
Well,
you think I can do a sequel, Bubba the Later Years?
Oh, yeah.
Potential?
Well, where you become a trans cop. I like it.
You know, the one thing.
Barbara Skinner. You loved him as Bubba Skinner. You're really going to love him as Barbara Skinner.
You're going to love him as Babs. It's going to be Bubba to Babs.
Excuse me, you have a right to remain silent. Or I'm really going to hurt you.
Well, one thing about
Are we canceled again at YouTube?
pretty close.
Yeah,
okay.
One thing about Bubba on radio is never let success go to his clothes. So.
Folks, don't listen to them. I'm dressed immaculately. I've got my Under Armour.
This is one of the best outfits he's had
got
on in
my
weeks.
Under Armour gym swag on right now. And they're just envious.
Man, I feel like I'm coming into the octagon right now.
Well, listen, we got to get your 2 cents worth, which is
Yes, women can play it.
Inflation right now, it's like $1.50, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's going to cost
2
me
cents.
to get your opinion on this. Did you hear about that? The coach, the female coach, that made her debut last night as first base coach.
I did.
Giants.
Oh, she was just a coach?
Yes.
Not just.
Oh,
the-
way to denigrate the achievement.
Oh, I thought she
Way to denigrate the historical achievement. Oh, I thought she played.
I know, I did.
I thought she hit what tape measure home run. She only coached.
Yeah, so that's it.
You are in trouble, dude.
First time in history, female coach on the field.
Whoop-de-doo.
That's the.
You know,
Listen, I apologize, folks, because it's just gone chaos here.
You're in so much trouble, Marino.
well, I saw the.
Whoop-de-doo. A woman coaches first base for the San Francisco Giants. Let's stop the presses.
I honestly,
I
I did the typical.
I want to be on record thinking I think it's one of the greatest achievements ever in the history of mankind. Womankind. Of all kind. Having been a first base coach for the Giants. The only thing better, if she would have been first base coach for the New York Yankees. That would have been the only thing better. That a higher achievement go down the history books. You're toast. What, do you want to say anything?
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
You're going to go Forrest Gump on me, huh?
Yeah.
Probably a good idea. But anyway, in all seriousness, congratulations to this young lady. History, and I think, again, as most people, we make jokes around here, but I know Guillermo's heart, and for her, and I think it's, as the article said, it's a barrier should have been broke down a long time ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see those women referees in the NBA?
Oh, yeah.
They're fantastic.
Yeah. And,
You know?
NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite NBA announcer, I'm curious, by far, I mean, there's a big gap between my favorite announcer and the others, and that's Doris Burke.
Oh, very good. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Well, she knows the game.
Oh, my gosh, but how she describes it, it's like a female Vince Scully.
Yeah, she doesn't do a fluff thing. You know, it's not a puff piece or, you know, that kind of.
And she'll
it's
get
about
on
the
them.
game.
She'll get on. Somebody's not hustling. She'll say, I heard the other night going, there's one thing you never want to do as an NBA player is give up. One thing you do have control over, you don't have control of injuries, but you do have control of your effort.
Yep.
And she called out this guy. He says, now look at this. Now, this is just not an adequate effort. This is not acceptable. And I think he's probably going to be pulled out, yanked out by the coach. Timeout. Boom. He's on the
Yanked
bench.
out.
So anyway.
It's fantastic. I can't wait to see second base coaches being women and third base coaches and home.
Second base coach.
I don't know. They don't do that. Well, they got a first base
I just
coach.
hope that's an
Listen,
attempt at lame humor. I really do. They hit a touchdown in the ninth inning to win the game.
What? Listen. Women should be on every base coaching.
Oh yes. Oh, women, hear them roar. And numbers too big to ignore.
Hey, well, how do we know she was a woman? Because Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Isn't it wonderful set of watching a
Poor
millennial?
Larry's just like, oh my goodness, I got to get out of here now.
Oh, man, to watch a millennial squirm, but he's not. He's kind of as he reaches for his drink.
Yeah, he
does
doing
his
good.
cool wetting of the palate. Oh boy, but really, go for all the women.
But listen, in other sports news,
We got to get onto the Ukraine
I
war,
know.
which is a lot less dangerous than what the war you're in right
Yeah,
now.
that's
the
very
subject
true.
you're in right now.
Unfortunately, it'll be there tomorrow and the
Yeah,
next
that's
day and the
true.
next day. But
That's
Derek Carr.
Oh,
Yeah. 120 million, 3 years, 40 million a year.
no trade. What do you think about the no trade?
I think that's smart because
Yeah, but aren't you surprised he got that?
no,
I'm
'cause
surprised he got 121 million.
I'm not really surprised at that, Guillermo.
Let me tell you
He's
why.
worth that. I mean, today's market.
Devontae Adams. That's why. wanted to guarantee those two would be together for 3 years at least. That's the deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae said something about, I'm not coming in unless I know who's throwing to me.
Well, usually I'm kind of adopting Stephen A. Smith's take on this. He had no problem with the money. I don't either.
No.
He got $150 million, not $200 million.
Yep.
But he's only been to playoffs once in 8 years. Now, in all fairness to him, he broke his ankle when they were going that one time, so it should have been two. But those no trade clauses should be reserved for champions. I mean, you've gone to the playoffs. You have really earned that. And I kind of agree with that. I think that was good for Derek. Hey, way to go, man. You got a good
Yeah.
But here's what, on the right drive over here, Larry.
Yeah.
I think maybe with all the trouble, Guillermo, they've been having in Las Vegas, with all of these
Such a good point.
Yeah, all these kids just doing these awful things. And I think they're looking at Derek Carr not only as the quarterback for the next 3 years, and they'll know if he's their guy. If not, they'll be. But I think they're looking as a player. I think they're looking at him as being part of that organization for the long term.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Working with the organization, see him potentially a general manager, or maybe even buy in and be a little minority owner. Because he said, I love the Raiders since I was a kid. It seems to me they want he
wants to finish his career there.
Right.
That's awesome. Dream come true.
And his character, though, to have him be part of in Las Vegas.
I just wrote down the value to the team as a leader surpasses his value as a playoff guy. Talk to any team member that he has ever had, and they absolutely hold him in the highest esteem because he cares about them.
Amen. But what does the Raider fan think? Because
just win, baby.
Yeah, listen, we're all.
I'm glad you're a nice guy.
We're all intellectual here, and man, we're glad you can keep those guys away from the casino tables and the other stuff.
Then let's go to stats, and on the quarterback side of things, he's in the elite quarterback side. The place they've been hurting is on defense. They've had no defense worth anything till this year.
Does he win a Super Bowl in 3 years?
I think it's going to be awful tough. But I agree with you, though. The Raiders, you know how I feel about the Raiders. I have despised the Raiders since I don't know when it seeped into my soul, but I just despise them. They hurt people, And
the fans we're talking about the fans or the players.
Well, if you're a fan of,
because they do hurt people too.
I mean, if you're going there going, boy, that Putin, I'm real a fan. A little invasion here and there. Just what he did.
Just in the Raider,
what he did in Yugoslavia.
Just send the Raider fans over there.
Sadly, I think that probably, if Alexander Dvornikov, the new general, looks like Lurch. Did you see that picture? He's standing next to Putin. He looked like Hulk Hogan next to, Pee Wee Herman.
It did.
And he goes,
that was mini-me.
He goes, here, look at this. This is what's coming. You run us out of Kiev. You watch what happened in Mariupol. We got the Syrian butcher here. How would you like to know? This guy, Alexander Dvornikov, comes in. My pronouns are butcher and homicidal maniac. I answer to either one. I mean, it's going to get. Hey, well, let's take a break and get up because I could talk about sports all day. But I've seen the promos. You have fluff talk X'd out, stories X'd out, politics only. We haven't talked about anything. Well, the female, coaching first base could be a political.
Oh yeah.
But when we come back, we're going to talk about the latest on the subway, the Ukraine situation, and this unbelievable, horrific lockdown in Shanghai. Could it happen here? No, you say? You better think twice about that. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat with Larry Powell and Guillermo Marino. We will be right back, I promise. Yeah, that's a contract.
Yeah, when I saw that, 21. That's awesome.
What a great, I was telling Larry coming in here, what a great era to be a quarterback. Back when I was with the Packers, you had to get second jobs in the offseason.
No way.
I was a travel agent for Kellogg Travel.
While you were a Green Bay quarterback.
I actually booked somebody they wanted to go to Cyprus in California. They got a Cyprus here in California.
They wanted to come to this Cyprus.
Yeah, send them to Cyprus, the country.
Listen, Autry, I'm still trying to get you to get me into the Masters.
That's
he said
I still might have a little pull there.
Okay.
Now I was supposed to get on that 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. I better start. I better get on that.
Listen,
That's a
while I
dime
can
waiting
still
on a
hold
dollar.
a club would be good.
I will be in the gallery for that one. I better
Okay.
get on that because I'm getting old, man. Everybody there I know is dying.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
Hey, is Frank in there? No, he died last week.
Oh man.
Well, is George? No, he died the week earlier.
listen,
How
my
about
mom,
so? No, he's in intensive care.
my mom was invited to her class reunion, but she's 97. She was the only one invited to her class reunion.
Well,
have you seen Bill Maher the other day? Is it that Zoe, that Lenny Kravitz?
Yep.
He's going to his 40th high school reunion, and Mars up there says, "Listen, if you're thinking about that, going to that 40th reunion, 1982, the class, as a guy, don't go because here's Lenny." And he showed Lenny Kravitz. He had the dreads. He was buffed out to here, wearing this spandex fitting thing. Because here's what Lenny's going to look like. You will feel like crap the rest of the
pretty
evening,
much.
the whole evening, if you go to that reunion.
oh man.
But I've gone to one, and it's humbling because you go there and you see your gum, your old thing, and you say, "I look that old."
They're all saying the
Yes,
same thing about each other.
Well, the answer is
yeah.
yes. Yes, you are that old.
You know, now that you think is it my 20? 2003? Yeah, my 20th is coming up.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
I blew right on by my 50th.
I'm glad you have I only hire old people policy here.
You know,
at KXCX. I kind of like that.
That was going to be one of the taglines. KXCX, no old guys. But
Every major doctor I've ever had has been a former student because I picked the smartest ones I've ever had.
well,
And they're younger than me.
that's a good idea.
Listen, you guys. Age is just a number, a really big number,
30 seconds.
a very big number.
Oh man.
We sure appreciate all the patience of our Facebook listeners.
Hey,
We do.
Jose, can we get that thing with Trudeau and the apartment complex there? Will we have that available? The China complex. Okay.
10 seconds.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. Yeah, I've been asked, do I have any bumper music that's post-1970? The answer is no. No, I do. I'll start bringing a little bit up-to-date things as far as... I like 60s and 70s music. 70s movies, I'm telling you. That's when directors ruled. And even these young little millennials and the Generation Z love those 70s. I'm going to give you a list of some movies you've probably never seen. They'll knock your socks off. When you got nothing to do, you go in there, and a lot of them are on Tubi. They're free because they're so old.
Okay, which ones?
Well, like Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Never heard of it.
The Midnight Run with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. I'm going to give you a list. Your wife will thank you.
All right, yeah.
You sit there and you pop yourself some popcorn, the Orville Redenbacher. Don't get that cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, Orville Redenbacher's probably off the charts right now with inflation.
Could be.
You know, it's anyway.
$1 a pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get to this China lockdown in just a second, but I want to talk about the subway maniac. Oh boy, it looks like I said on the show yesterday. I felt, having been in law enforcement, you realize the people of Fresno, they did a survey, and 20% of the people said they voted for me as mayor because of my law enforcement experience.
Yes.
That is a true. They showed me the official survey. It wasn't Russian misinformation.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
20 said.
Yeah.
20.
Appreciate what you've done for us, Al.
Okay. I'm not a real cop, but I play one on TV. But you get, but you're around a lot of cops. You have technical advisors. I have a lot of friends in law enforcement.
The same thing.
Laughing about
It's the
that.
same thing then. I like how he gave the stat, and then he's like, "Well, technically they're not wrong. I had advisors that were telling me how to play a cop." So,
not a doctor, but I stayed at Holiday Inn last night. But when they have a vehicle like they found that they have traced to the assailant, all that stuff back there in the back, a lot of things to that could create mayhem, ammo, and just a laundry list of stuff in the back of that truck, then you pretty much can take it to the bank. They're going to be able to trace that back and get the guy. And again, I'm a believer, and Guillermo, I know you are as well, Larry. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
But it looks like circumstantial evidence with this fellow, Frank James, 63 years old, African-American, with a history of just, I guess he's got YouTube videos up of just plain unbridled hate, just hates people. It appears it's not, one race.
Right.
He just doesn't like people and wants to hurt them and watch them die.
Hey, YouTube, how about take down those videos?
It's...
Yeah, really.
Hey, did I tell you? Well, I don't want to veer off of this. I got a story about that. Laura Fisher went after him, and we got a mea culpa.
No way.
From YouTube, an apology. Yeah, but that's enough about me. Jeez, go from this serious subway thing to let's talk more. But what a blessing. What I think at least 10 wounded. 10. And that no one yet has done non-life threatening. And that's just an absolute miracle.
It is.
And my question for you all, my question for the panel, is this going to finally wake up the leaders in New York, in particular the mayor, who was elected on a law and order platform, to say we have to get tough on crime? Because he, contrary to what he said he was going to do when he was running for office, he has not gotten tough on crime. He put this gang unit back in place, way to go. But all the other stuff of getting tough on the small crimes, the broken window theory, that's what Giuliani did. Love him or hate him, or in between. There's no arguing with the data, Larry. We had to talk about the show about the power of the data.
Yep.
New York was basically unlivable. It was an absolute out-of-control jungle. Nobody was going there. If they don't have tourism, their economy goes in the tank. People were so scared, and rightly so. He came in, started cracking down on the so-called small crimes, jumping the turnstiles at the subway, purse snatching. Yeah, that's low level, unless it's your mom that gets her purse snatched. You're the one that does. That's horrifying. But
it could be men too. There's men. There's merces.
There's merces. You have a purse snatching from anybody. Okay, and he went and he implemented, and you saw the crime plummet. Do you think maybe, and I think if New York does it, maybe the rest of the country will follow?
No.
Okay.
No, this is not going to move the needle. Crime now, and I think this is because I've been trying to figure out the difference between what you did when you were mayor and what's going on now in the city, and what crime now is a political issue. It's not really an issue that it used to be where it's commonsensical, like, hey, they did a bad thing. They should pay the consequences. Now it's, well, why did they do the bad thing? Well, what's the race of the person doing the bad thing? Because if there's a lot of people doing those bad things and they all happen to be the same race, then maybe it's a problem with the zip code. So crime now, unfortunately, is such a political issue that it almost, you have these blinders on the right and the left. And I say it's the right and the left because the left is going to say, well, it was the gun. Why did that guy have a gun? Maybe we need to restrict guns. And then you have the right saying, well, no, he should have had a gun. Dan Bongino talked about it today on his show. Like, hey, why do you want to take away this guy's gun? So it went from a guy shooting 10 people, which is very bad, to the right and the left saying, talking about the gun.
Which begs the premise, what if 30% of the people on that subway were packing? Had guns.
Yeah.
What if it would have been Texas? They would have had guns to protect themselves because the cameras weren't working. I still don't understand why the cameras weren't working on the subway.
That just feeds conspiracy. I mean, it just.
But he would have said, hey, if you would have had an armed populace of law-abiding citizens, because we're in a world of defund the police, with that guy, we caught it. It looks like they caught him.
Yeah.
But you may not. And the guy could go on, and they said that his gun jammed. He was ready to do some more. Yet he got out of there unscathed. And if he would have been a little bit more, clever, he may still be on the loose. Larry, let me ask you, is it, because Guillermo brings up a good point. Crime can be looked at through the prism of politics rather than what's good for the community and law and order, and seeing that law and order as a basic fundamental foundation of a civil society, which that's the way it should be looked at. But people politicize it. and put criminals over law-abiding citizens in terms of how the policies are constructed, and defund the police, no cash bail, early releases. But when it comes to your doorstep, or it happens to you or somebody you know, isn't that where it stops being political and you start seeing it the other way?
Oh, of course. Kimber Reynolds is a good example of that. There will always be an effort by a certain group to, get as hard as possible on crime, and another group that will be as easy as possible on crime. And what we've got right now is pretty much this: early release and no penalties have allowed criminals to have this bravado that is just beyond measure, because they know the penalty is less severe than what they're going through now before they do the crime. So it's not going to be a big deal. They're going to get out. They know. Look, what was it? The car capital, theft capital of the world for a while here in Fresno. Yeah, because there was no penalty. I mean, you could steal 6 cars a day, and things. So if there's no penalty, and let me tell you, as a former Fresno County superintendent of schools, when kids don't have consequences, they do things that they normally won't do. So even citizens that might not commit a crime commit it if they know there's no penalty.
Yeah.
One of the other things we're not doing, and we're not doing a very good job of this, there is right and there is wrong. We've blurred the lines so much that we don't have standards by which to live anymore.
Well, don't the parents contribute to that?
Absolutely.
I tell a story often on the show when this must have been about 4 or 5 years ago, where I work is backed up to Torona's middle school.
Okay.
And we had some construction vehicles there, and kids went and threw windows, and they broke the construction vehicle windows. And luckily, one of the guys was able to chase them down, grabbed them, which is grabbed them, brought all 3 of them into our conference room. We called the principal for Torona's. Torona's was like, well, your problem now. And so they gave us the parents. We called the parents. All right. 3 Latino young men. And I spoke to the parents in Spanish, and I said, hey, your son's getting in trouble. And I put the parent on speaker, and you know what, the parent on speakerphone, kid threw the rock. The kid starts crying, and the mother says this in Spanish: son, are they treating you okay? Have they done anything to you? I grabbed the phone and I said, look, if you don't stop this, A, I'm going to call the police, and B, you're coddling him. Right now is this, pretty soon he's going to be in prison.
Yep.
And his parents were farm workers. They had to come out of the field, they had to go in, pick up their kids, and the whole time the parents were just like, it's okay, don't worry about it. I was like, man, he just vandalized. He ditched school. He vandalized property. You're sitting here in the conference room, and you're telling me your son, in your eyes, did no wrong.
Yep.
Well, what we're describing, I think anybody's been paying attention, not just for the last year, but last several decades. You're seeing a slow but steady, inexorable degradation of discipline, and what discipline means to a civil society. You can go back, the Bible, spare the rod, spoil the child. I think, and I'm going to get in trouble. I want to get more trouble than you on this one. I think when they started making spanking a abuse charge. I've got, I think, 5 spankings in my life, all by my mother. Never got a beating in my life, and I'm thankful for every one of those spankings. It's you have to have a consequence.
Yep.
And somehow this ideology seeped in that you're going to process this and come up to the right visceral conclusion that I had my time out, or I have an excuse for this because I witnessed something awful when I was, or my dad left, which is all awful. You see where in prison, about 80% of the people are fatherless.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's all that to that. But there can be no excuse for violent behavior, regardless of your upbringing.
Amen.
You
I
just
agree.
can't do that. And so you have this, we're bearing, the chickens have come home to roost. We're bearing the fruits of that, these rotten fruit of that kind of degradation. I mean, you go back to the day where I can remember where you went down the freeway and you had the chain gangs out there. You had people from the that were there in jail going out cleaning the highways, doing stuff, and you looked, you drove by, and your kid goes, what's going on there? And the dad would say, those are people that broke the law. Now, you know why there's no more there's no more worker programs out there from the sheriff's department here? There was a complaint. A parent was driving with their kid. Kid looked at, said, Dad, what are they doing? And the dad thought that was just abuse, that it scarred the kid.
Oh, my gosh.
Instead of saying, there's some place you don't want to be, you're going to look at how they're treating those poor innocent people. And it got some momentum, and the heat got on the decision makers. Next thing they know, the political leaders folded. No more worker.
Yeah. Now they're getting college degrees.
Yeah.
Which, you want to do that, that's fine, but it hurts the inmate too. The inmate wants to get out and do some things.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Prison used to be something you didn't want to go to.
Correct. Well, and we're in for it for a long time because the political will is not toward punishment at all. The political will is toward release, catch and release, and that's not going to stop.
And here's the real danger, huge danger, because history, as we were talking about Thomas Sowell, a big study of history. You go down, and I'm just going to cite this one example because everybody has heard, or history books, whatever, of the rise of the Nazi Party. You go, how in the world could brilliant, smart people like the German people fall for what this madman was saying? In mass, this country went insane, was mesmerized with this guy. What they don't do is they don't go back and see what the conditions were when he took over. They had that Weimar Republic there after World War I. Germany was the most punished country ever, 450 something sanctions against Germany, and after World War II as well. But Germany got so liberal, the courts would not prosecute anybody. They were going that it became liberal, so liberal that it became an absolute jungle. That a woman could not go down the street and go to the bakery and get bread without being mugged, beat up. So Hitler said, look, I got a group, says this, and we're going to make it safe for your mama. Your mama deserves to be able to go to get bread. We're going to protect her. And it was such disarray. Violence was so rampant. That sounded good to these people. But the deal was, we're going to make it safe for you, but we're going to take your liberties and your freedoms. Yep. And that gives rise to dictators.
Yeah.
And when dictators come out of liberal chaos, when you stop having rules, especially in terms of public safety. And that was just the latest case in history. You can go back.
Oh, there are a lot of them.
A lot of them where the society just said, oh, poor criminal. Or if we don't have the guts to punish bad behavior in any way.
Listen, I've seen kids that were heading down the wrong path when the mother came in and saw me in the office and I explained what was going on, took that kid, and I knew that kid was going to get worse at home than they got from me. Okay. Because the parent took responsibility for the kid and said, they won't do this again.
There you go.
I'll guarantee you they won't. And you know what? The kid reformed. The kid did the right thing. The kid became, used his smarts, became a productive member of the school. And I've got example after example after example of the pressure of the peer losing to the pressure of the parent. Okay.
Gosh.
But the parent has to take and do it. They can't be the friend to the kid. You can't be a friend. You got to be a parent first, then a friend.
Gosh, Larry, don't you just yearn? You don't. Remember, you're too young. The schools were already messed up by then. No, I mean,
is that what happened to Guillermo?
Look at Guillermo.
Well, no, you don't.
Look at him. Look how bad they are now.
Hey, listen. What I'm saying, I yearn nostalgically, whimsically, for the day back in the day when families trusted the schools.
Absolutely.
They're saying if you got in trouble at school, you were going to get worse trouble when you came home. The school was not questioned. They had great people. This was the mindset.
Yep.
They have good people. They care about you. They're giving you a good education. They're in charge of you. You're like your mother and your father. They're there, and you follow the rules because there was a trust there.
Yep.
So it wasn't questioned. And where it got bad, you should question and keep your eye on things because now you got to. Hey, they're teaching my kid to be a racist. They have this zero tolerance thing they have, and this is where I have much trouble with Clovis schools, where if you are attacked at school and somebody hits you and you defend yourself, you both get kicked out. What's the name of that? It's not zero tolerance, but it's something to that.
Well, that is zero tolerance.
But yeah, you don't even have a right. Back in the day, it was who started it.
Mm-hmm.
They would get that, and whoever started that got a tougher discipline. And it's so screwed up that you can't trust. We've lost trust in the schools.
You got to remember that the parent assumed the school was right in the old days.
Yeah.
The parent assumes the child is right today, and that's the major difference. So I've always told teachers, if you've got something that happens in a classroom, you better be the first to get a hold of the parent and not let the student be the first to get a hold of the parent, because you already are behind the 8 ball.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and get out from behind our 8 ball here. Tackle a few stuff, but we're still on YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. I'm going to do a commercial.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to say something at the bottom of my heart. Thanks, YouTube, for letting me back on. Not. This is Alan Autry, Autry with Guillermo and Larry. We'll be right back because you got to hear this thing out of Shanghai. It is just chilling. And we have to listen. You have to watch it because, dadgummit, we cannot let something like this happen here. And sadly, that's where we're heading. It's Alan Autry, Autry. Be right back. Hey, Guillermo, let's start with the... With the Guillermo, see, it just hits that and goes this way. See how that the voice vibration hits that and gets right there. Hey, Guillermo. Hey, I'm wondering, should I play the apartment wailing first or Trudeau's thing first? Yeah, let's go Trudeau's because we'll have time, and then we'll pack it right up. Right after that, let's put up the wailing.
Larry, this would have been a really good segment to do it in, but did you hear about Patrick Henry High School in San Diego?
I don't think so.
So they're cutting all honors courses in the name of equity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no honors courses, no AP courses.
Let's don't have kids aspire to something.
Yeah, and Hugh Hewitt was talking about it this morning and said, yeah, why don't we take out all the good football players off the team? So if you're going to cut honors, to get all the good football players off the team in the name of equity, because everyone has to.
Yeah. And you know who's behind that? The teachers' unions.
Yeah.
And you know when this started? When this big started? Larry, I'd like to get Larry's opinion. It's a whole show, actually, in this. Mm-hmm. One thing Gray Davis did, he became one of the most despised governors by the left.
Really?
Well, he came up with this thing called the API index to measure it. One of the first times
Academic Performance Index.
Exactly. And that teacher did not like that. Yeah, it actually was even more popular than the No Child Left Behind the Bush came in, not in California. Don't put us on the spot. Plus, there's things happening at home, this and that, and it's all true. But the thing is, they realized that, and it was of their own making, that they'll never be able to get these kids to achieve to the level. So to be pushed and strive to help this bottom 20% that they just don't know how to deal with, let's just drop everything down to the level of that 20 and have this equity, everybody be same. So everybody can't come and be honors, but we can take those honors from those kids that are really working hard and deserve to be singled out. We just lump them in. Then look, hey, everybody gets the same. So then there's no measurement, and then you got your job. You're in the data. You have a successful school. Why? Because we don't measure success anymore. We don't measure. So we can tell you we're successful. Well, Johnny can't read, but how are you going to? No, we're successful by our stand. This is boom. That Lowell Elementary is a successful school, just like over there at Clovis Unified.
2 quotes from Thomas Sowell. Charter schools don't have such vocal and passionate enemies because they don't work. It's because they do work. So charter schools get all the heat.
That's why they want charter schools to go away.
And then he also said this: schools exist for the education of children. Schools do not exist to provide ironclad jobs for teachers, billions for teachers' unions, and monopolies for educational bureaucracies.
So true.
So, and think about this. I've seen so many parents, many of whom are minority parents, that say, I want my kid in a charter school. I want them in a certain school in a certain location because I know they're going to be successful there, and I'm going to help make that happen.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome back to Alan Autry No Retreat. Oh, man. Elvis, one of my favorite Elvis songs. That movie's coming out, Elvis.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see that. So from Elvis to China. Elvis wouldn't sell out to China.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
he would pull a John Cena.
What would he do?
Yo, let me tell you, see. I mean, you gotta let them people listen to my music, man. Gee, you gotta let them people out of jail. Don't lock them up. You lock them up, how are they gonna go to my concert now? Gee, and you're starving them the best. You gotta send them over there some hotcakes and biscuits and gravy and chili dogs. I'll bring them over there. I got about 4 or 5 planes. I can land over there in Shanghai in 10 minutes. Come on, G. Get your groove on, baby. That's what he'd say. Something to that effect.
All right.
Here, I do not understand this fascination. Well, I do, because when you got a lot of money, you look good to people. Somebody's going to pay you $1 billion a year. You look real good. Well, I bet I'm a pedophile. But that's
You mean Harvey Weinstein?
That's a minor
That's all right.
thing.
Yeah.
$1 billion. Yeah, we just massacred 100,000 people for being disobedient. Oh, just a minor thing. We can get past that. You're China. Give me money.
Yep.
And you see John Cena reducing himself to a blubbering mess because I was saying, hey, Taiwan is a country. And because Universal Studios says you better get over there and apologize because China's mad. You have LeBron James going after David Murray, the general manager of Houston Rockets, simply because David Murray say the people of Hong Kong have a right to retain the freedoms that China said they would preserve for them when England left. And you just go on, the CEO, this Donahoe, God bless him, man, you come out and worse than anybody, worse statement, worse than LeBron and everybody saying, I am China, I am of China, and I am for China. And then you're not political leaders. This is where it gets really dangerous. It scares me. That are looking at this model because it's easier as a dictator to rule than a democracy. It just is. You don't have to deal with the voice of the people every day.
And Xi even said that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easier for me to get things done in my country than it is
Well,
yours.
let's listen to Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau, here's a little town hall meeting. And listen to this guy talk about China and his wistful thinking of what could be.
The level of admiration I actually have for China, because their
Can you hear it?
basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted. That I find quite interesting.
Trudeau's rival.
He's not laughing, though.
No. And did you hear everybody clapping?
Yeah.
When you say be a dictatorship. Well, let me show you and let you hear what true dictatorship is about. What you're going to hear now is the lockdown that's going on in Shanghai right now. 26 million people in this city. They have a zero COVID policy, and they're locking the citizens up in these big, tall apartment complexes. People are starving there. They're taking their animals, killing their animals, putting the cats in bags, throwing them on the sidewalk, beating dogs to death. This is actually happening, folks. This is not some far-right wacko stuff here. This is real stuff going on. But here's a video they were able to get out of Shanghai. This fella took it on his cell phone. And it's you on radio won't be able to see this. You on social media will. This, I tell you, I have not been able to shake this. This is worse than any horror movie you've ever seen or heard in your life. These are people wailing at night in these towers where they've been forced to be locked down into, and they're going freaking crazy. Here we go.
根治啥么呢？因为所有的人，你都不晓得这个状态到底维持到啥个辰光。侬总要把个标准，或者是讲有一个具体的说法。没，侬讲看，闷了7天，当然屋里向啊，不能出门啊，不是说不能出小区啊，这不行的，马上弄下就要出事情。
Man, every time I watch this, I get chills up and down my spine. That's what dictatorship looks and sounds like, folks. That's what Justin Trudeau wants the power to do. Now, I'm usually composed. I see where this is heading. I got kids and grandkids that are going to inherit this world. And there's this study that came out just yesterday that the world is sliding closer and closer to dictatorships rather than. What do you else think about that? That's just frightening. Did you hear nobody in the streets? They're echoes. People just wailing out their windows, just trapped in a prison.
You know, it's hard, and you're right, Alan. It's hard for us to imagine it's our kids and grandkids and their kids that are going to lose this amazing democracy that we have, where we can disagree with each other, we can sit down to dinner together after disagreeing, and now we've lost the ability to disagree agreeably. And I think that's what the result is you no longer can disagree. You're going to be housed and stuck in a location. You're basically going to be imprisoned in your home. And that's coming.
And the guy, their spokesman, said this
scale.
is very easy to do. He said, 25 million people. He says, actually, it was very easy. We have a great capacity to organize. That's that social credit score. That's those things. They have information on everyone, 25 billion people.
That facial
they know where
recognition.
every single one of them are.
Yeah.
They know who needs to be rounded up, who they want to. Your social score isn't high enough? Well, you're going to be locked up there for another 10 days.
Yep.
Or what have you. I mean, that is just so horrifying. I mean,
when I watched that, you want to know my honest?
Yeah.
I said, man, thank God that's not the United States.
Oh, absolutely.
But, but we could easily see that still happening here.
It is. Couldn't you make after watching that and comparing what happened in New York, where their most draconian lockdowns on all those big high rises?
Absolutely.
And the next step, if they had the real right to do it, the New Yorkers didn't have a little bit of their independence left.
Yeah.
That inside their souls to say, well, because I tell you, I think it's 5 words. The 5 most dangerous words we can ever say right now is, it won't ever happen here.
I thought it was, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. But that's what I was.
It will never happen. Yeah, it's 5 words.
or I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
That's 10 words. That's the 10 worst words. It will never happen here, and I'm from the government. I'm here to help. But gosh dang it, guys, that just I can't shake it. I listen to that. My wife, it's really affecting Kim, and rightfully it should. Some things we need to watch. We need to see this. What's going over in China is nothing you want to be a part of. It's nothing to be admired. It's nothing to strive for. There's nothing in that communist ideology. It's evil. It's godless, and it has to be stood against constantly.
I hated seeing Trudeau laugh.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But his hair looked good.
Yeah. Crazy.
Did you see him get out of this car there in Ukraine? It's like he's walking down the runway in New York. Or walking up at a restaurant, table for one. Justin Trudeau, Canada. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Larry, thank you. Guillermo, thank you. The team, Jose, Jeremy, God bless enough y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.